sustainability and fintech. This meeting is also the kickoff event for what we call Startup Cincy Week, which is going to rock. Let me kick things off by introducing Cintrifuse Board Chair, Guy Prasad, President of P&G Growth. Guy?
Hey, thanks, Pete. Absolutely delighted to speak to everybody today and kick us off. And I'd like to start by just sharing that, I've lived on 4 continents. I've been to 60 countries and doing business with Procter & Gamble over the years. And I never would have guessed that my personal path would have led me to Cincinnati. I can say that I've never lived in a city. I don't know of a city in which so many great things exist and coexist. Billions of people around the world that I have, in countries that I've had the pleasure of living in, would consider this a dreamland. I see the possibilities as endless. I'm going to share a couple reasons why. And I also feel we're just getting started. So I'm delighted to speak to you guys, but I also wanted to just share a couple things that I've personally seen. So my name's Guy Prasad, as Pete said. I'm the president of Procter & Gamble's New Business and Innovation Division, as well as the chair of Cintrifuse. I've had a journey that has led me back to Cincinnati. And I'd first like to really thank everyone for joining the call and all of your support to our business community here in Greater Cincinnati on both sides of the Ohio. I sincerely appreciate it. It's been an incredible year of challenges and progress for us, thanks to you. I really wanted to thank all the entrepreneurs as well, who are doing so much. We said that we really wanted to put our entrepreneurs at the center. And wow, have you done so? It's very inspiring for me to see how much of a difference you guys are making, how quickly you're making it, and all of you contributing to creating a thriving ecosystem for us. I'd really like to welcome all the members of our Cintrifuse board. This is a very hands-on board, tons of passion, great experience. So thanks to each of you. And of course, I'd like to thank our very passionate and entrepreneurial CEO himself, Pete Blackshaw, as you all know. So Pete, I'm looking forward to hearing from you in a few minutes. So just a little bit on my story, and I promise I'm sharing this more on how I reflect on Cincinnati than about me, but it's the best way for me to communicate it to you. So Cincinnati is my home now. I love it here, but my relationship with Cincinnati has not been a straight line by any means. So my parents are from a country called Guyana, which is a very small country in South America next to Venezuela, has about 500,000 people. And I was the first person in my family to be born in the developed world. I first came to Cincinnati from Toronto in 1999. The only thing I had known about Cincinnati at the time was the television show WKRP in Cincinnati. So as I drove down and packed up my Honda Prelude, I was very excited to come down here to Cincinnati and be in the city. I first stayed in a place called One Lido Place, which is right on the river. And I remember being on the 14th floor, watching the barges go by the Ohio River in the evening, thinking, where are they coming from and where they're going? And what am I doing here? I was very lonely. My partner at the time was living in New York. All of my family and friends were in Toronto. And I wasn't sure what the future would hold. I would drive back to Toronto, take the 8-hour trip up the I-75 once a month to get a dose of home. And then I would come back. That trip every month turned into a trip every 3 months. Then it became a trip every 6 months. Then my friends started to visit me. Then my partner moved from New York City to Cincinnati to be with me here. She loved it here. She loves it here. We started to build amazing friends here in the greater Cincinnati area, from Cincinnati, from around the Midwest, all around the Midwest. One day on a whim, we decided to go to my friend's porch and get married with the Justice of the Peace right around the corner from OTR here. We got our first puppy. And by the time P&G said to me, "You've got to leave," in 2003, I cried and I did not want to go. After leaving Cincinnati, which was my new home, for many years, I had international assignments in Europe, And by 2009, I got another call that it was time to come back to Cincinnati. So I was so excited. I bought my first home in Columbia, Tusculum, and I started to build a new life. I saw the riverfront develop, again, make new friends. And just as I was starting to get back in the flow, I was told that it was time for me to leave again. And I spent 5 years in Greater China and then 5 years in Latin America. And in July 2020, David Taylor, our CEO, called me and said, "Great news, you're going to get promoted to president and you're going to go back to Cincinnati." And so here I find myself in January 2021 coming back. I call it my Cincinnati 3.0. And what a Cincinnati I'm seeing. And I wanted to give you some of my big hits. OTR, I'm seeing an OTR surge like no other downtown I've seen around the world. So many downtowns have been struggling, and we are just getting stronger. The restaurant scene is incredible. I'm seeing a variety that I don't see anywhere in a town of this size, a mid-sized city, to have this level of variety of every type of cuisine you can imagine and quality. Thriving ecosystem and a fantastic transportation hub, as Pete always mentions, of air, land, and water, which is very rare. I see a very accessible town. It's not hard to get things done here. We don't need to line up for small things. And we also have an incredibly friendly group of people and culture. Somebody's always willing to help. And we don't have that bustle and rush of only getting things done and leaving people behind. Our weather's not too hot or too cold. I've had my share of both. The cost of living is very reasonable. We don't spend all day in traffic. We have more blue sky days than cloudy days. We have Fortune 500 companies who are very willing to lean into the community, like Kroger and P&G. And they're very eager to be representative partners of enterprise startups. Just recently, CVG, Amazon, and DHL positioned us to be the largest e-commerce hub in the nation. Fifth Third, Western, Southern, and others are stepping up to make our region thriving with some of the newest fintech investment and hubs that we have in the area. And we're also making a huge progress on supply chain and sustainability, an area of strategic importance to us, which the big co's are supportive of from all the way from Hebron to Hamilton. And I've seen this myself and how it's benefited us at Procter & Gamble. We've also had a huge influx of capital investment, 600 million, which is more than double the trend that we've had in previous years. We're a very tight business community and no one can rally like this one can. These are just some of the top hits that I've seen. But as I said when I started, it is very, very rare. I have not seen one to find a city that has all of these things together at the same time, in the same place, in the same moment. So with this foundation in mind, Pete and the board and I have decided to align on 3 major priorities, and I wanted to share them here. The first one is attracting more capital and talent into our region to develop an innovation ecosystem. We would like to become the most successful and most thriving and fastest growing innovation ecosystem in the US, not in the Midwest, but in the US. We'd like to start with the Midwest, but we see that as part of our journey. Second, we want to sharpen our focus on companies that have unicorn potential so that we can create the next P&Gs and Krogers right here in our city. And we would like our next unicorns to be able to thrive here and not have to leave when it's time to do great things. We believe we can solve all their needs here in the region. And finally, we want to win in sustainability, fintech, and we will support women and minorities in all we do. That's going to be a core area of passion and interest for us. I would personally love to see our big co's invest more locally. There's a lot of opportunities here and we need the support. We've got great startups. So why not invest in our own backyard? Why invest primarily on the coast or in other countries even when we can do so much here? I'd also love to have a call to action for everyone on the call here and on the video, which is, what does going vertical mean to you? So what would it look like for you to partner even more to help our local business community? What would it look like for you to help us become unstoppable? What could you do even more, better, different than you're doing today? So I'd really love us to embrace the magic on both sides of the Ohio. I have shared my personal story only to give you a thread that I see of Cincinnati in 3 different occasions over the last 25 years. I do believe it's a dreamland of possibilities. I would love us to go vertical, and I'm delighted to hand it over to Pete to take us through the next part of our session. So thanks everyone for all you're doing, and thanks for seeing the potential that I see in making it happen. Pete, over to you,
Thanks so
Mike.
much, Guy. We're done. I really appreciate the personal touch, support, and deep devotion to the region. I've been getting some great text responses during your talk. I'd like to open with some additional thanks. First to the Cintrifuse team, who made everything that we're about to share possible. Thanks are also due to our accelerators, Main Street Ventures, HCDC, Flywheel, SoCap, UC Venture Lab, Vora Ventures, our local VCs and funds, Cincy Tech, Big One, Refinery, Lightship, River Cities, Alos, Queen City Angels, Minority Business Accelerator, our university partners, Miami, UC, NKU, Xavier, Mike Halloran, you're a rock star, and beyond. And of course, our students, college, high school, even innovation girls, they are changing everything with outside-in perspective that we need. I also wanted to give a big thanks to our corporate partners, and especially to outgoing CEOs, David Taylor of P&G and Michael Fisher of Cincinnati Children's, who have been fantastic co-founders and supporters of Cintrifuse. Now, this has not been an easy year. COVID challenges persisted. We lost valued employees. Union Hall was challenged by return to work, false starts. The good news is that this is the year we went all out on our mission, which is to help startups win. We even sharpened our branding with help from LPK to clarify our singular focus on connect and catalyze. Indeed, this was the best year, as Guy noted, on record for capital raised in our region. We're on track to raise over $600 million in 2021. This includes the largest, I repeat, the largest raise in the history of our region by 80 Acres Farms, $163 million Series B. Another big raise, $143 million, went to biohealth startup Syncor, and we're very excited that Cintrifuse, a Cintrifuse fund investment, 5AM Ventures, is a key partner and investor in that effort. Both deals, by the way, were led by General Atlantic, one of the most prestigious venture firms in the country, in the world. And funds like eGateway Capital, focused on supply chain and e-commerce, are just getting launched. So big deals are one thing. We also need to ensure that founders with great ideas are getting seed capital, and startups have access to growth capital, and it needs to work across the spectrum. So for example, we need experienced architects to lead and design the creation of new products. The good news is that our universities are generating great entry-level talent, and a growing ecosystem will foster more experienced founders and unicorn alumni. On the big co front, we love and appreciate your support. If ever there was a time to work, to buy local, it is now. Our startups compete with the best in the world in their domains. And hit up John or Elisa if you need inspiration or a jump start to your business. Now, if you're a startup, we're eager to help you in any way we can, whether you've not yet launched or whether you're ready to scale. In fact, you'll hear pitches from startups throughout our meeting, but let me kind of call out a few up front. One, it's great to see FISNA, the Google of objects, source talent from the actual Google. Pay Theory and Abre are working together to reduce barriers to payments in schools. Red Circle's leading the scaling of Shopify for podcasters. Pieces is creating an entirely new way for creators to share file fragments or pieces of their work. Lightship is working to get mobile dentistry startup Care Mobile to make Cincinnati home. This was also a big year for igniting the power of partnerships. We're partnering with the city of Cincinnati on an online startup platform, and a big litter hack coming right around the corner here in Union Hall. We've joined hands with the city of Hamilton around their promising green tech revolution. We're partnering with Ready on many fronts, and we'll join forces to showcase startups with them at CES. We're especially, we also partner with FC Cincinnati and co-owner Meg Whitman to create a fantastic startup mixer at every single game. Now, we're especially excited about our partnership with Jobs Ohio. And to put that in perspective, in 3 years, Jobs Ohio has tripled its scope to support innovation, inclusion, site development, talent, and growth capital. And they are investing big time in our tech and startup economy. Now, one of our most important contributions this year is that we helped our region focus on a few areas where a concentration of talent, technology, and capital, and even diversity can drive an outsized advantage. In July, we delivered with Cincy Tech, fantastic partners, by the way, a regional growth roadmap to win in supply chain and biohealth. Cintrifuse led the supply chain work, which hit 3 key areas. 1, tech future of freight. 2, food from seed to plate. 3, circular economy and zero waste. Importantly, we parlayed our recos into action via a formal US Build Back Better grant proposal anchored to startup growth, and it was entitled Ramp Up. Our vision is that our region will lead the nation in advanced mobility. And this is a new way of looking at transportation that aims to reduce the carbon footprint of passenger and freight movements through more efficient energy use, materials reduction, e.g. green packaging, and recycling. And here I just want to thank enthusiastically the coalition of supporters. We received over 50 support letters in a matter of days, senators, a governor, and we're so grateful to CVG CEO Candace McGraw and her team for stepping up as lead partner. We've also sharpened focus on our fintech sector. We received a record number of applicants for our FinTech Frontier event coming up in a few days. Just today, Coterie announced a record $50 million supplemental raise. Big story. We're very grateful to Fifth Third and Western and Southern for getting this off the ground, and we're thrilled Jobs Ohio has stepped up to provide essential partnership. More in a moment on that. On our corporate innovations front, led by Elisa Smith, we push new ground in innovation strategy, subscription models, and leveraging our fund relationships to ignite and inspire breakthrough innovation. Now, on the fund front, we slowed our Fund 3 rollout to reflect on new approaches to maximize local impact and startup growth, especially considering our focus in areas like supply chain and fintech. But that's hardly slowing us down with Fund 1 and Fund 2 activity. Thanks to the great work by fund manager Sarah Anderson and team, our Fund 1 performance has delivered in a big way for our valued investors. We're seeing returns of 2.3x since the fund's inception, and Fund 2 returns look even more promising. Our hope and our plan is to parlay those returns into an even more impactful model, so stand by. We're also excited about the fund's impact. I mentioned 5AM Ventures earlier, but there's more. Refinery Ventures, based here in Union Hall, recently invested in Red Circle. They're deep in supply chain innovation and working with Jobs Ohio to scale up opportunities. We're also excited about our work with Venture Studio Science Incorporated, and we're already introducing them to some of our most important local corporate partners. 5AM also dials up this capability. And Lightship, I mean, where do I begin? That event yesterday at UC with state leaders was a bit mind-boggling. I mean, just wow. My advice, do not bet against them. In other key developments, we brought on a new Union Hall manager who's bringing noticeable and welcome changes to this fantastic workspace. Heck, we even have an 80 acres salad vending machine in the building. We've also created board level committee on development led by David Kennedy, Chief Strategy Officer of Bon Secours Mercy Health. We'll hear more from David later. We're so grateful. So we have a really, really big year ahead, and we have wind behind our backs. MarketWatch just published an article on the power and potential of our great supply way. Just last week, FIFA delegation was in town scouting Cincinnati as a World Cup site. More and more, we are on the world's radar. But movements like this do not last forever. Opportunities open up, but they can close as fast as they open. I'm a big believer in the power of urgent optimism. As a region, we have every reason to be optimistic. Guy nailed this point. There are so many people around the world that see Greater Cincinnati as a dreamland of possibilities. It's true and it's powerful. So we have a right to be optimistic, but we also must feel a tremendous sense of urgency. And that's the spirit of our theme, acceleration point. Now is the time to lean in together and to pick up speed. The landscape of winners and losers is being reshuffled in the years in ways that would have been hard to imagine 2 years ago. The coastal cities and the tech hubs are less appealing, and regions like ours have a new magnetism, especially to young talent and to venture capital. Let's make the most of that. Sustainability is at an unprecedented tipping point. With government and private sector funding flowing at unprecedented levels. Let's make the most of that. The US government is waving massive carrots with a sense of urgent optimism and acceleration that makes the most of that. Let's take absolutely big advantage of that. Let's turn that Mark Twain line on its head and make Cincinnati that unexpected place where change happens 10 years faster than anyone saw coming. We have it within us. Now is the time to accelerate. So on that note, let's turn to the program, starting with our first wave of startup introductions. Let's meet them.
Hey, my name is Bob Gilbreth. I was the co-founder of a startup here in town called Ahology that we sold in 2020. And after we finished that sale, the three of us decided to start a new company called Hardy. It's really putting our passion around team building into Hardy, which is a new professional network that's made up of members sharing the people that they know and trust, to leaderboards that make it easier to find great talent, connect with them, hire them, partner with them, work with them, invest with them. Anything you want to do, it's all about people, and we're making that much more efficient, trustworthy, and just a real joy. Hardy is free for everybody to join. Just go to behardy.co, sign up at the bottom. We'll let you guys in and you can join our platform for free. It's just a really great way to network, find people that you know and trust, and have a great chance to do great work together.
Hi, we're the co-founders of Cloverleaf. I'm Darren Merner.
And I'm Kirsten Moorfield. Cloverleaf provides coaching for everyone in an organization. And how we do this is we partner with the most popular assessment companies to get to know the individual psychology of how people work and how they do their best work. And then we break that down into coaching tips that we push into email, calendar, Slack, Microsoft Teams, the tools where you're already working. And what this does is it helps everyone get to know how to work more effectively together.
If you'd like to try this for you or your team, visit cloverleaf.me and sign up for a free trial.
Hi, I'm Kevin Cushman, CEO of Electrata. We're a Cincinnati-based electric vehicle infrastructure firm here to build, own, operate, and maintain the country's most reliable set of EV chargers and all the energy infrastructure that goes behind them. The purpose of our business is to bring clean transportation to a lot of different use cases, but focus primarily on those for whom fleet or transportation is a core function of their business, their institution, or their community. So what Electrata does is we design, build, capitalize, operate, and then dynamically upgrade infrastructure for the use of those fleet vehicles and other electric vehicles across the country. For fleet owners considering transitioning to electric vehicles, right now it seems like a very risky proposition. There are a few vehicles out there with long histories of operations, not sure what to do about electricity as your fuel, thinking about how to use your site, how to change how your team operates with the fleet. But teaming with Electrata takes all that on board at the same time. We align your vision and actually make it a reality by removing the risk factors associated with the infrastructure piece of the conversion to electric vehicles. So lean on us. We'll do the design, build, and capitalize the entire solution, and we'll be with you the entire way throughout this transition and beyond.
My name is Cecil Hogan, founding partner and CEO of Renozy. We started the company more than a year ago with the idea of building the most modernized online platform that simplifies locating, obtaining bids, and hiring qualified contractors to service your home renovation needs. Since then, we successfully developed the product, building fully robust iOS and Android mobile applications, and have quadrupled our user base. Today, we've expanded our reach throughout the greater Cincinnati area with an active network of homeowners, real estate investors, property managers, as well as home renovation contractors. It's no secret that the journey to a successful property renovation and hiring qualified contractors is time intensive and costly. Hiring the wrong contractor and overpaying for renovations can leave you in a mountain of debt. And this is where Renozy saves the day. We hope you will become a part of our online renovation platform, visit our website, and post a job today. Renozy makes hiring contractors and property renovations easy and affordable. Thanks everyone for your support.
All right, let's give it up for our startups. Now it's now my honor to introduce someone who epitomizes urgent optimism, Cintrifuse board member Melissa Stevens of Fifth Third, who's going to lead a fantastic session on our region's critically important fintech ambition. Melissa, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Pete. And thank you very much to Guy for your leadership. We really appreciate it here on the Cintrifuse board and in Cincinnati, and are so thrilled to have you here. It's also so fun to see some of our startups, right? Actually, a couple of them have Fifth Third alum in them, so it's always a moment of pride. I'm incredibly excited to moderate a panel today that has some really, really rock star participants in it. This is our goal in this small session, 20 minutes, a lot of bits of information, but quickly to inform you, excite you, and hopefully engage you in an ongoing dialogue and actual action and activity related to our FinTech Frontier initiative. We started this several years ago because Ohio has a lot to offer from a financial and an insurance standpoint. We have a huge amount of our GDP coming from it. And incredibly importantly, we have a lot of talent. But as you know, most of the venture capital goes to the two coastlines. We've got a lot of great people here. We've got a lot of great resources. We've got a lot of great startups, and we have some amazing big companies. As a person who, like Guy, worked globally for a long time and was headquartered on the East Coast, I was not aware till I came here in 2016 of what was possible and what was going on in our ecosystem. At this point, we have 15 plus viable beyond idea stage fintech startups building in our area, and 5 of them are new additions in this calendar year. Our local ecosystem is nearing $10 million in external funds raised. As you heard Pete say, we had a record number of applicants for our pitch competition. We also had a record number of applicants for our university internships, where we placed people into internships this past summer. And as he's mentioned earlier, we've garnered the attention from a lot, including our partners at Jobs Ohio, who have joined Western and Southern and Todd Lee and team, as well as Fifth Third, as founding partners of this initiative to bring funding and additional connections. As we look ahead, we have an amazing group of people working behind the scenes across startups, across venture firms, and across big corporations to really, really take us to the next chapter. The way I like to look at things, it's a little bit like Busta Rhymes said, slowly but surely we'll work our way up, but just start at something. With that, I'm going to introduce our panelists today. We have Todd Lee, who's the VP of Marketing and Digital at Western and Southern. We have Anu Vora, who is the founder and managing partner of Candid Ventures and the founder of PayTile. And she is on a lot of amazing boards doing great things to support education, learning, women, and so much more around here. We also have Mohsin Masood, who is the founder and CEO of Akru. And thank you so much for joining us today. And then we have JP Nausif, who's the CEO of Jobs Ohio and the newest one to the table in terms of the support of FinTech Frontier. I'm going to get it going. These guys are going to go like that. You heard Pete's comment. I am urgent optimism all the way. I'm also a fast talking, fast walking New Yorker who loves working in the Midwest. So Todd, You've been involved since the very start, when only two of us and a couple of people that thought it might be a good idea would get together since the early planning. Can you share your perspective on the FinTech Frontier program and where we're headed next?
Certainly, Melissa. Thanks for the question. So as Melissa stated, it started about 3 years ago. We're currently in our second year of programming. I think overall, we've seen a terrific increase in momentum with the foundational program we offered. The foundational program we offered actually had 3 core components to it. The first was a speaker series, and we've seen strong attendance both locally and from across the country in participation and attendance in those events. Second is the pitch competition. So we've seen a lot of competitive demand for inclusion in the pitch competition. We think that's just great. We're seeing some terrific startups come to there. And then most recently, we added the startup intern program this year with over 100 applicants. So a high amount of interest from local students, really eager to gain that exposure to the local FinTech startups. So that's just terrific that they want to get in there. The team's working on the next iteration of our FinTech Frontier programming. It'll be focused on both strengthening and enhancing the FinTech community locally while increasing the level of support provided to participating startups. And then I would just say, given some of the challenges with the pandemic in the last year, we've been executing programming virtually, and we're really looking forward to getting back to in-person events. Melissa?
Awesome. Thanks so much. Let's move to the world of high-tech initiatives and startups. So Mr. Masood, I love seeing you. So thanks for coming today. Can you tell the audience briefly a little bit about Ocker, because it's newer for some of them, not for all of us. And then why do you think, or where do you think FinTech Frontier could make a difference for your company and where you're headed as an awesome entrepreneur in the tech world? Oh, Mohsen, so somebody unmute him. Boy, there you go.
Apologies.
No problem.
Obviously, this has to happen, right? Accrue is a platform for fractional real estate investing. What that means is that we break up commercial real estate into smaller pieces, $1,000 fractions. So anyone and everyone is able to invest in this asset class, which only the top 1% is able to do at this point. And then we've created a secondary market where we've added liquidity to this historically illiquid asset class. So enabling larger corporations and the common person like myself to be able to invest in commercial real estate. I think FinTech Frontier has been doing great things for us as a crew and then the ecosystem in general. And they've been a great help for creating connections, for opening doors for us, for helping us with recruitment, product dev side, the whole 9 yards. And it's a great resource to have in the city, and a lot of support. Thanks to all of you over here and the entire team at Cintrifuse for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let me jump over to Anu, and just building on that idea of what of FinTech, but not FinTech Frontier. You talked to us a little bit actually about PayTile, which you founded, and why Cincinnati? Like, why do the resources here make sense as you make plans and make launches? And then you can talk about Candid Ventures as well if you want, but start us on PayTile.
Yeah, absolutely. So great to be here. Thanks for organizing this event. PayTile is a location-based payments company. And so what that means is we allow people to pay other people and businesses near them in an airdrop for cash type of technology. And so why that's important is I think we're in an anti-social tech movement right now. And PayTile is kind of taking the benefits of cash and adding the security of a credit card all through an app that is that's super user friendly. And we're building it in Cincinnati because their talent is simply unparalleled. I mean, it's a really, really great place for a fintech company. I'm actually in Vegas at the moment at Money 2020, and there's about 8,000 people here for a fintech conference. And in the exhibit hall, one state showed up, and that state is Ohio. So I have to give JP a shout out. Jobs Ohio has a booth, and they're showing how talented people in Ohio are, and why companies should hire. And I'm very, very lucky to have been raised in Ohio, to have been raised in Cincinnati, and to have been raised by an entrepreneur in a startup ecosystem. I think folks are really loyal. The talent is from Fifth Third, from P&G, from Western and Southern, from Kroger, et cetera, et cetera. The talent is absolutely phenomenal. And so I've lived in SF, I lived in New York, I've lived in Philadelphia, and I always come back to Cincinnati at the end of the day. And to your last point about Candid, we're investing across the board in companies all in Cincinnati. So obviously I'm building a fintech company that's part of my venture studio portfolio. And we're also investing in healthcare. We're also investing in education companies, and we're primarily backing founders that are underrepresented. So almost every founder that I've backed through Candid is either a woman or a minority, which is really exciting. And most of them are here in Cincinnati.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Anu. And thanks for being out at Money 2020. And what a perfect tee up to the next question I had. And thanks so much, JP, not just for being here, but for your support and sponsorship of putting a state on the map at Money 2020 in Vegas. We're really excited to have Job Ohio's support of FinTech Frontier. I wanted to understand, why does the state associated entity even care about something like FinTech Frontier or attracting small businesses like tech startups to a state like ours?
Well, I was hoping you would draw a comparison with me to Busta Rhymes. I was hoping that's the way we could start out. That was interesting.
Just wait, it might be coming.
Well, big companies start as someone's dream. Every big company, you drive down a highway, and if you see a large company, a large building, that's the result at some point of an entrepreneur's dream and the risk and the sweat to seek out someone willing to risk their capital to back that dream. So we want to be a catalyst. Jobs Ohio and the state of Ohio want to be a catalyst for more of those dreams. And we have the industry base, the infrastructure, the talent to create and catalyze fintech and insurtech businesses. So as a state, we're interested in retaining, attracting, and having our entrepreneurs find a home where they can grow, and then going outside of our state to make sure other entrepreneurs that have dreams know they can come to Ohio and they can find the talent, they can find the growth capital. And as an example, with growth capital, just a few years ago, Ohio was 17 out of 17 peer states in the availability of growth capital. 17 out of 17. This was 4 years ago. In Q2 and Q3 of FY 2021, we are number 6 in the nation and number 1 in the Midwest for growth capital. So Ohio is on a roll. The great pendulum that took businesses and talent out west, down south, offshore is swinging back, and we are ready for it.
That is awesome, JP. And you teed yourself up perfectly, because 17 of 17 is terrible. There's a lot of East Coast language I could use to describe it, but where we are is great. And I think it really, at its heart, then puts a pretty good Drake lyric in there for you. It's never too late to realize what you want in your life, and it's never wrong to fight for it. So we'll give you Drake today instead of Busta Rhymes. Let's go on to Todd, which actually builds on JP's point about the state of Ohio, about where we're climbing to, and about the attraction of investing in things. While it's been great that Western and Southern has been part of the FinTech Frontier effort and what we're doing with Cintrifuse, you've been investing in startups and supporting in this greater region for quite some time at Western and Southern. Do you want to talk a little bit, as a big corporation here, about why? Like, why are you doing that? Why has this mattered? Why is the partnership or involvement in the ecosystem important to your company and to the region?
Sure. So we believe in developing and supporting the local ecosystem is really key to advancing Cincinnati as a destination for startups. So we think a thriving ecosystem benefits everyone, from the local community to the local startups to the local corporations. So we have terrific talent, we have great universities, and a can-do Midwestern culture that positions Cincinnati for success. Within Western and Southern, we believe having access to emerging fintech capabilities is an accelerator for our internal innovation. And then having access to fintech thought leadership and talent is a multiplier for us, both challenging and enabling us to evolve our solutions that we provide to our customers.
Awesome. That's super helpful. I really appreciate it. Let me also ask, I'm going to go here for a second to Mohsen, and then I'm going to come back to Anu on one thing related to, or Anu to where she is. Mohsen, it's not the only time we're hearing from you this week, right? Like, you're also actually in the pitch competition that Pete has wonderfully and shamelessly plugged already. Rather than me talk about what it's about, why don't you talk about what's at stake as you compete against 9 other startups across the country? What's happening here? Why are you in this pitch competition? What's up?
Of course. So we're lucky to be amongst the top 10 and amongst the finalists on there. It's not just the cash prize. Mind you, that's a $75,000 cash prize. It's not a small amount. So that definitely counts for something. But more importantly for us, it's all about the folks who we get to meet in the process. We're getting one-on-one meetings with all the founding members of Cintrifuse already, just being as part of the top 10, which is a huge selling point for us. So many of those early adopters or those growth customers or those partnerships that can come in for us just through those meetings. More importantly, or along with that, it's not just that, it's the support that comes in from Cintrifuse through the membership at Cintrifuse for 1 year, the 4-person co-working space that we get free of cost if we win, that is. And then also all the great investors that we have across Cincinnati are listening not just to this, but will be watching out for that pitch competition. So all the big VCs throughout the region, as well as locally, I'd love to name a few like QCA. They've been a big supporter of ours. I know they're all watching at this point as well, and they're listening to this. They'll be watching closely to the competition. So lots at stake at that. We're excited for that. We're hoping we'll make it at the top spot. So.
Awesome. Thanks a ton. Appreciate it. It's also, I better give you a quote. I don't want to be fair to everybody on the lyrics front, right? When I look at the, no bias in the pitch competition, I'm not a judge, but when I look at what you guys have done and the accessibility of investing in something that usually seemed unattainable for people, it kind of gets me to the notorious BIG. We can't change the world unless we change ourselves, right? And you've really looked at accessibility in a different way, in a different market, which is kind of cool. Let me jump over to Anu one more time and say, you've raised funds from the coast and from the Midwest. So we heard JP talk about early stage funding. Tell us about the caliber investors in the Midwest. Certainly you also are investing in others, but just talk a little bit about that and about investors focusing on the Midwest, why, and then kind of what it looks like to you.
Yeah, so I'm actually a bootstrapped founder. I'm endeavoring investing into PayTile for the first time, but everything that we've done is I built my last company, Admit Ally, sold it last year. It was in the education space, and then built Candid Ventures to invest in others, including ideas, moonshot ideas that we have in-house. But I have met with a lot of investors, actually, even this week here in Vegas from both the coasts. And I think the caliber of investors in the Midwest, they're focused on business fundamentals, which is really exciting if you're building B2B companies, right? And I think I'm doing both B2C and B2B at PayTile, but there's huge interest in supporting companies that are thinking about how to build profitable, huge, high growth moonshot ideas. And just in the last 5 years, I've seen a shift in Cincinnati, especially where 5 years ago, I've been in Cincinnati my whole life pretty much. 5 years ago, you couldn't raise funds on the promise of growth. And I think the investors are really becoming quite sophisticated now in Cincinnati. And so it's an exciting time to both be a founder that's raising capital, but also to be an investor, because so many companies are seeing that and coming into our region, and they're starting in our region because they understand that the investors are willing to really, really take risks on incredible founders that are going to build high equity value companies.
That's awesome. And exciting to hear the progress that you've seen and the changes you're seeing. Mohsen, do you maybe want to jump in for a sec on the same topic?
Sure. So as a first-time immigrant founder out of the Midwest, from what we've heard, this should have been a massive uphill battle for us. We're very lucky to have big investors like Draper Gordon Home, a Tim Draper fund, invest in us. So getting the attention of big investors from across the coast even if you're based in Cincinnati, is not difficult. They're looking for the right product, doesn't matter where you are. And being in a city like Cincinnati plays a big role because of the opportunities and the talent and all the support that you have over here. That definitely plays a big role. We've got people from the East Coast and the West Coast. So Cardi Investments from DC and DGA from the West Coast as well.
That's awesome. That's really awesome to hear. JP, is there anything else you'd like to jump in on or pile in on there?
The only thing I'd say is that we have got amazing momentum right now. This is not just a better year for Ohio or incrementally better or a bounce back from COVID. Our pipeline, this is FinTech, InsurTech, and the other sectors. Our pipeline for businesses, for projects that have over 400 jobs and 200 CapEx associated with them, meaty projects, up 550%. Projects with 1,000 jobs associated with them or more are up 550%. We're on, and at the same time, Ohio is investing in these innovation districts. We were down celebrating and providing an update to the community yesterday on the Cincinnati Innovation and District. So we're investing. Our pipeline is larger than it's ever been. And we've already, up to this point in the year, have closed more business and more jobs than we have at this time of the year in the history of Jobs Ohio. So this is a generational opportunity, and we're on the front end of it.
All right.
Yeah, that is awesome and inspiring. Thank you so much, JP. And I want to say thanks to all of our panelists for our time. As another woman in tech, but in a different way, in a big co, I think for Anu, I come to a Travis Scott lyric, which is, I don't need a stage to perform. We just need something to stand on. And I look at how she's lifting up others, women, those of diverse backgrounds, and those in the Midwest and Ohio with her new venture fund, and just say thank you so much for what you're doing. I appreciate it. You guys have been fantastic. I know it was a lightning round of things. I want to be really clear, okay? If you're an entrepreneur, please know that Cincinnati can give you all the resources you need to launch at a fraction of the cost. You heard Todd talk about the type of people we have here, the resources available, and the can-do spirit, but the smarts and the talent is here. I promise you that. I moved here 5 years ago. I've seen it myself. If you're an investor or you're a corporate innovator, we invite you to join us. Anu and Motion are, along with the other founders in our region, are building the future of fintech and really showing from right here in the middle of America what you can do. Mike and the team at 80 Acres Farms is just one of many who are charting the path. We invite you to be part of our ecosystem. We invite you to be part of this. We are a place, and I can tell you this as someone who came from Manhattan, we are a place who truly help each other just because we do. There's no ulterior motives. There's nothing passive aggressive. There's no knife going in the back of your back, and there's no expectation for a return on the favor for the introduction we give you. So if you're ever looking for a place to invest, to innovate, to move on from a big co and start something up, like we've seen with Cushman and others, we are the place for you. Now, if you don't know this about me, I'll share it right now. Like Jay-Z said, I'm a hustler, baby. I can sell water to a well. Back to you, Pete.
Oh wait, can we offer access to Melissa's playlist for anyone that requires?
I love it. Hey, and I got to give some love to Mark Wood on my team. Mark Wood on my team has been kind of helping architect this, and Mark, keep doing what you're doing. We're making headway. Thanks to all of you for participating. All right, we're going to roll another video to kick off the next exciting panel. Allison, let her roll.
Hi, I'm Pete Blackshaw, CEO of Cintrifuse. I like to think of Cincinnati as the great supply way, the epicenter of supply chain, logistics, advanced manufacturing, and e-commerce distribution, combined with this amazing heritage of leading the world in brand building and retail. I also discovered that this magnificent Queen City is also one of the world's greatest green cities. Did you know, for example, that Site Selection magazine named Greater Cincinnati the #1 most sustainable city in the US? 80 Acres Farms, for example, is the world's first fully automated indoor farm. And its sister company, Infinite Acres, through a joint venture with Ocado, is exporting game-changing vertical farm technology to the rest of the world.
We knew food isn't what it used to be. So we made it better by creating a completely new kind of farm. A farm that uses 100% renewable energy. A farm that uses 0 pesticides. A farm that grows 300 times, not percent, but times more food on less than 1% of the land. Fresher food means less food waste.
Our neighbor Kroger, one of the largest retailers in the world, is pushing sustainability at many levels.
I think supply chains are going to be totally different in the future than they've been in the past. And it really is about getting products to customers as fast as you can, and things that you don't use, provide it to other places as well. And when you look at our objective of zero hunger, zero waste, we literally mean any place that we work, we want to help support a community have zero hunger, and as a company, we want to have zero waste.
The Cincinnati region is the heart of the great supply way. Our airport, CVG, is now the #1, I repeat, #1 e-commerce distribution hub in the country. Our airport is innovating with remarkable speed, with dozens of startups at a time in areas that are ripe for technology.
So CVG is the epicenter of e-commerce. We're proud to be the global super hub for DHL for the Americas. Amazon is building its largest hub here in the US that will open up in fall of 2021. With that, we have a tremendous ability to jumpstart our sustainability efforts.
Sustainability has never been more important. Momentum is growing exponentially. Climate tech is now a $2.7 trillion opportunity. If there's ever a time to be bold and to move fast, it's now. And if there's ever a place poised for growth, leadership, and game-changing innovation, it's here. Come join us. I promise you'll be welcomed with open arms to our great green supply way.
Okay. I can't get on my video. You start my video. Okay, good. Okay. All righty. We're going to start the Great Green Supply Way panel, and I'm not going to do much of an intro because the video pretty much did it, but I've got a fantastic panel here. I think we're still waiting for Heath to jump on, but Mike, I wanted to just jump right into your, you raised a record $160 million from some of the world's top VCs that clearly see potential in you and the region and the cause. You're turning some traditional supply chains upside down. Tell us about 80 acres and, is our region an advantage? Like why here?
Yeah, thanks, Pete. I love that video, and thank you for having me on. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be here with all of you guys. Yeah, look, 80 Acres is a vertical farming company, as you just heard in that video. For those of you that don't know us, that is really addressing very many global challenges and the local consumer challenges that exist with traditional food systems in agriculture today. We essentially bring technology to agriculture to enable the ability or the capability to grow food anywhere, anytime. And we can literally stack a field on top of a field on top of a field on top of a field, create a perfect microclimate, perfect environment to grow anything, anywhere, but importantly, very sustainably, and doing so in the communities that we operate in. That's a thrilling part about who we are as 80 Acres, and we believe Cincinnati is a perfect place to start a business. We think the ecosystem is developing. We're thrilled to be here, and we've had phenomenal support across the board. So we love it here, and what we've done so far is just the beginning, and a lot more to come.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to double click a little bit on some areas, but I'm also thrilled to invite to introduce Bonnie Gleaves, who's Senior VP and of R&D for Procter & Gamble. She's also working closely with us here in Cintrifuse as an EIR. And so Bonnie has a very unique perspective across a lot of exciting things at P&G. So Bonnie, I wanted to ask you, P&G keeps, every time I go to LinkedIn, I feel like P&G continues to accelerate green commitments across all areas of the company. Is this the real deal? What are some of the biggest sustainability challenges that you're facing as an R&D leader? Anything kind of keeping you up at night, or anything you're particularly proud of that you'd say, boy, we're really nailing it?
Thank you, Pete. And I would tell you, this is the real deal. P&G is super serious about our green commitments, and really for two reasons. The first is that our data would suggest that 75% of consumers really want to invest in brands that help them live a more sustainable lifestyle. And second, we also know that bold change is required if we really are going to address some of the effects, the lasting effect of climate change. So it's about supporting our consumers, and it's about doing the right thing. And you talked about our commitments. We just released our 2040 commitment, which is by 2040, we will achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions in all of our operations, including our manufacturing plants. It's critically important to us, and we are on it, and we need help. The second is we've just gotten very specific about our targets and our goals toward our 2030 commitments around plastic waste and in our products. And again, this is super challenging. And so, yes, we're very serious. We're all over it. Now, we've been on this journey for, a little more than a decade. And in keeping with, I love Melissa, but in specific, I loved all of her references to the rappers. And so in keeping with that, I'm sure you've seen our latest advertisement around Turn to Coal, where we, have the epitome, the OG in the rap game, Ice-T, talking about and educating consumers on, turning their laundry to doing their laundry in cold water, which typically consumers don't want to do. They're afraid their laundry won't get clean, but we know that Tide will get your laundry clean even in cold water. And this may seem like a small change, Pete, but actually, if all of us, sort of make these small changes, it can have a huge impact. We've also, done the same thing with Cascade, where typically consumers will wait. They don't want to run their dishwasher when their dishwasher is half full, so they wait until the end of the week. And what we are educating consumers on is running your dishwasher every single night uses much less water than washing your dishes with a running tap in the sink. And so these are very early wins, which came without a lot of technology beyond Tide and Cascade Superior Cleaning, of course, but early wins. But there's so much work to do. So we're absolutely serious, and we're ready to do business with whoever out there can help us with that.
I love that example. I'm ready to develop a conference called Cold is the New Hot, because I think it is such a powerful insight. In fact, I was just listening to the Malcolm Gladwell podcast where he's actually talking to some of your R&D folks. And what's interesting about that, and again, I learned something new about the Green Front every day, but I didn't realize just how much the house contributes to the carbon emissions and how much is dialed up by all the hot water that we use in conjunction with consumer products. So that one is really interesting. It would be fascinating to kind of figure out what else we can do to kind of unlock green value on that front. Now, I wanted to share another clip and get a reaction, because one of the big themes that we got into, zero waste and radical transparency, were big themes. And I wanted to share a clip from last week's World Cup pitch. And this is Rodney from Kroger. Allison, let's run that reel.
We are also committed to sustainability and social impact. Cincinnati is recognized as one of the greenest cities in America. Together, working with Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio, and all the groups, we're inspired to deliver the first Zero Waste World Cup Games. And we believe that Cincinnati, through its Green City initiatives, and partners like Kroger and P&G are uniquely positioned to help FIFA meet this ambitious goal. In fact, if Cincinnati is named as a host city, we've pledged that we will work together to bring a zero waste FIFA World Cup to the Americas and bring it to life.
Transparency around a sustainable, kind of sustainably focused supply chain, particularly with Gen Z consumers, who are really active in D2C investing. And Gen Z consumers are looking for more transparency around where their products are coming from, how they're sourced, how they're shipped. Best example in our portfolio is Allbirds, which recently just announced they're going public, and they aim to provide full transparency on their supply chain. They even created a kind of carbon footprint calculator to demonstrate how little kind of carbon output they have in their kind of supply chain. I think public companies generally are going to be forced to do more reporting around ESG, and I think we're seeing a lot of startups kind of innovating in that space.
So I want to double click on that a little bit. So you've got zero waste and you've got radical transparency. And radical transparency allows you to figure out whether the company gets credit for zero waste. So Mike, you're racking up some amazing statistics on conserving water, you name it. But can you comment on those two videos? And obviously one of your goals is to be a partner to a player like a Kroger.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of ways to address waste, if you will. And if you unpack it, there's waste of water. There is waste from a food mile perspective, from trying to reach a carbon footprint that is much more sustainable, not just offsetting, but truly reducing the usage of carbon in ways that are no longer necessary. They were 5-10 years ago, which means not shipping food 2,000 miles, but producing it locally. There's waste with plastics, and there's waste with food. And I just, when we talk about supply chains and the great supply chain, supply way here that we're trying to create, if you think about the fact that supply chains were very localized years ago, before everything globalized, the products that we were creating, manufacturing, growing, did not need to be protected in the same way to be shipped all over the world. Now, obviously, I'm not against global supply chains. Many things need to be global, but many things should stay local. And I think we took a great concept way too far in trying to way over optimize these supply chains and optimize them for one variable, which is efficiency, its cost. Instead of optimizing, when you look at food, for example, the bigger picture, which is growing food in your community, not needing all the packaging to protect that food 2,000 miles from farm to our table, but growing it locally, not needing to, again, ship that food. When you look at the problem holistically and you look at the total cost that our society pays for some of these decisions, we can be much better. If you look at a typical food supply chain, and by the way, one of our drivers of creating 80 Acres was I was a senior executive in multi-billion-dollar companies in food for the last 25 years. And I feel like my teams and I helped create some of this problem by reducing costs at expense of the bigger picture. And we felt that we needed to come back and fix it. We needed food professionals with credibility in the food industry to come back in and start looking at things differently and start debating and fixing this issue from within. So instead of having a 17-step supply chain that ships products all over the place, that is optimized for one variable, we have completely collapsed it into one or two steps. We want to grow things right by Kroger distribution center or distribution center of our other customers and truly eliminate all the other functional cycles, thereby giving the cost savings back to the consumer, giving much fresher, better tasting product that affects their immune systems, we can drastically reduce waste and deliver much higher quality products and do it at a very reasonable cost by utilizing technology in a way that 5 years ago was pure science fiction, but it's available and feasible today. So yeah, we believe in zero hunger, zero waste. We believe in localizing certain efforts and re-empowering, re-energizing our communities like Hamilton, like many other communities where we operate, and really helping create something phenomenal within those communities.
All right, Heath, good to see you join us. I played a video of Joe Medved from Lair Hippo talking about radical transparency, and I'd love it if you could just give a perspective on the transformation of, what's at stake when the world can kind of see right through the product, through the supply chain, and Heath is from Mercury Fund, which, by the way, does great local investing, Amify and others. Heath, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pete. And sorry for being late. I had an issue come up, but ultimately, we're seeing, especially here in the middle of the country, we are seeing a tremendous amount of technology be deployed against the challenges in the supply chain. From 10 years ago, we thought there were issues, and we started making investments in manufacturing supply chains, and we didn't quite see the uptake. But over the last decade, it's gotten worse, almost 100x. And I'm sure Bonnie has spoke to that from their group. So what we've tended to look at is both horizontal B2B technology that will address that, as well as focusing in on, in particular in our region here in Houston, how that affects energy and how that affects the job market and how that affects everything in the local economy here. So we've been able to both look at it across the US with investments, but in particular in our backyard, and how that relates to climate tech. And as most people know, the energy industry is transforming itself, and we're happy to be a part of that. Whereas before, we sort of didn't feel like the energy industry was sort of dedicated to technology. Now, because of the challenges in supply chain and challenges in the local economy, they have to sort of invest and commit to the future of what their business is going to look like. So we've kind of seen it both horizontally and vertically.
Fantastic. We'll come back to you in a second. Bonnie, I'd love to get a reaction to the video. And by the way, I didn't have time to edit in David Taylor, but he was equally exuberant as Rodney was about the zero waste ambition. And so, yeah, love to get your reaction. And I'd also love you to say a few more words. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but guys set you up. Someone's got a great zero waste innovation for P&G. Like, what do they do? I know they need to go to Cintrifuse, but what else will help them get in the door with Bonnie's team?
Yeah, I was super inspired by, the pitch on the World Cup and the commitment to be the first in terms of zero waste. And I am all in. And I do think that it's so heartwarming to see big co's and startups and the public sector all coming together, not only to bring this kind of, activity and excitement to Cincinnati, but as well to support our startups, to support those, particularly those that are being led by, members that are typically underrepresented in terms of our population. So super, super exciting. And in terms of, ideas, we are really very clear that we cannot, in P&G, as much as we're very proud of ourselves and we pat ourselves on the back, we're really clear that we cannot achieve the kind of commitments that we're making alone. We know we can't do it. It's going to take partnership of P&G with other members of the private sector, big co and startups, nonprofits, and the public sector. It's going to require us all to come together and come with your ideas, because we're going to need ideas in terms of formulation of the product. We're going to need ideas in terms of transparency, in terms of supply chain, in terms of technology innovation and digital, all of this coming together to achieve the kind of transformative solutions that we know we need. So we are counting on partnership. And I don't want anyone on this call or any startup that has an idea think, well, I'm too small, I'm not ready yet, I'm not built for scale. Don't let that stop you, because once we identify together the solution, we can bring all of our capability and the capability of our partners together to figure out how to get it scaled. Don't let that be the barrier. No idea at this stage, with all the work that we've got to do, is a bad idea. No idea is a bad idea. You may have seen some briefs that P&G's been sending out through Cintrifuse about what we're looking for. If you haven't, that's fine. Don't hesitate to reach out to someone in P&G, one of your P&G contacts. If you've got ideas, if you want a partner, if you're not even sure if your idea makes sense, please don't hold back. And contact me directly. Maybe we can put my contact information in the chat, but contact me directly. Feel free to do that, because the time is so urgent. And I believe one of the startups that is participating in this call right now has a solution that we can bring to bear against, some of these challenges.
All right, Bonnie, we've got hundreds of people on this call who heard you say that. I am so excited. Heath, I want to give you the final word. And Heath, one of the things that's interesting about Kroger, they did a big kind of a pitch event where they had, hundreds of startups pitch zero waste ideas. They gave, I think, $2.5 million to 10 startups. What's interesting is that 80% of them were diverse. And you and I have been talking about this. Is there an opportunity in the convergence of green and diversity? I think you're seeing some of that in Houston, but give us the final thought on that. And open your mic there.
Yeah, sorry about that. So it's really interesting, Pete, in that similar to what I was saying in the energy space, there's this mix between climate tech and energy companies being forced to innovate, and Houston's population being majority minority. So those two things converging creates a tremendous opportunity for the city to recognize that unless they on-ramp more of the population and how the city is comprised onto the innovation highway, whether it be as an employee of a high growth company or as a founder of a high growth company, Houston continuing to thrive would be in jeopardy. So those two converging factors are creating a tremendous opportunity in Houston. And there's a group called Greentown Labs that's driving things on the sort of climate tech accelerator and funding side. And then you have firms like Mercury that is leaning in really hard to make sure we are helping in a number of ways that may not look like investments, but in a number of ways for diverse founders. And then you've got dedicated funds for diverse founders that are popping up. And there's a couple here in Houston that are all working together to address the problem. So when the community sort of comes together and recognizes the sort of emerging or converging forces, you really can make a difference if you're committed to wanting to do so. And we're seeing that happen in Houston. And as you and I have been chatting, anything me and the Mercury team can do with our continued investment and commitment to Cincinnati to sort of give continued visibility into things that are happening here and how we might be able to help. We'd love to do some roundtables and help you continue to drive that forward in Cincinnati, because I think you guys have the same opportunity. It just may be that the groups haven't looked at the converging factors to then figure out where we make the investments.
Thanks for that final comment. And I want the audience to just know that we're not putting these things in silos like sustainability and diversity and fintech. They all kind of live together. The biggest movement in fintech is climate tech meets green. One of the big opportunities around sustainability and supply chain is responsible sourcing. And so, let's keep thinking about how they all come together, and that's where we might create a really big outsized advantage. So I thank the panel. I know we just kind of flirted with the topic. There's so much to say, but more to come. But again, we're all committed to building a great green supply-way. Thanks very much. Now we're going to roll our second startup, Meet the Startups video clip.
Hi everyone, I'm Nick Rabin from HomeShake. HomeShake is the only place to find and purchase homes directly from a seller before they hit the market. No realtors, no expensive fees, just a simple end-to-end platform for buying or selling a home. Real estate is the #1 industry in the American economy. People pay $100 billion per year in commissions, but the system is broken. Now, there's a better way, the market before the market. But don't take my word for it. Visit homeshake.com to learn more and see what our customers are saying.
Hey, how's it going? Savanat here from Pieces. We are a deep tech startup here in Cincinnati, Ohio, building a whole different kind of market around file fragments. So in practice, what this might look like is something that I copy on my clipboard, I generate a link for, I send to you, you click that link, and now what's on my clipboard is on your clipboard. So basically everything inside of a file, we're enabling ourselves, our partners, and third-party developers to extract file fragments from tools and operating systems, re-inject them, and then we're doing a lot around machine learning, sharing, searching, and cloud enablement at the file fragment level. So the company is called Pieces, fittingly, Pieces of Your Work, and we are currently in the developer space, but we'll be moving into the design space and other spaces later on in 2022. We're a team that's global first, but we have a headquarters here in Cincinnati, working with Cintrifuse. We're venture backed by Drive Capital up in Columbus, and we're doing some really cool stuff. So we'd love for you to check out our site, give it a look. If you have any developers that are looking to get involved with file fragments or check out our platform, that would be awesome. But yeah, other than that, give it a go. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Greg Lund, and I founded Struction. Struction is a technology-based financing platform for subcontractors in the commercial construction industry. We advance 100% against materials and 80% against approved invoices, ultimately lowering the amount of working capital that subcontractors need to bid and execute projects in the commercial construction space by 70%. We also benefit general contractors by providing a more competitive pool of subs and ultimately lowering their project level costs as well. Struction uses data and technology to lower risk and ultimately cost for everybody in the value chain. Between now and 2030, approximately 40% of the construction workforce is going to retire. That capacity gap is going to be filled by small businesses who ultimately have the capabilities but not the capital to execute the projects. Struction's platform provides project level financing so subcontractors can compete not only on their capabilities but also on their ability to execute projects and not their capital. If you'd like to learn more about Struction, please visit www.struction.com or email me directly at glund@struction.com.
I would now like to introduce valued board member David Kennedy, Chief Strategy Officer of Bon Secours Mercy Health, to highlight our new board committee on development. And David, I just want to say publicly, you've been a fantastic partner, friend, and board member, and we thank you for being here.
Thank you, Pete. What a great program. If you're not energized by all that we heard today, I don't know how to make that happen for you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this group. Like Guy, I'm a transplant to Cincinnati, moving here from Nashville 4 years ago. And every day I fall more in love with the city. I'm fortunate to serve on the Cintrifuse board and have a way to give back to my new hometown. As you've heard from Pete, the role of Cintrifuse is to connect and catalyze. And at times, the great work of Cintrifuse doesn't always have an associated revenue model, and the leadership of Cintrifuse goes uncompensated. That fact was made clear to the board as we heard about the financial status of Cintrifuse during the worst of the COVID pandemic, when Cintrifuse, like many startups and nonprofits, didn't have a deep cash reserve to sustain it. Thanks to Pete and his team's ingenuity and to a PPP loan, Cintrifuse made it through in good shape, while also helping to restart the economy of the region. This past year, the board reflected on the need to create opportunities for individuals, partners, foundations, and companies to support Cintrifuse to continue its work on the behalf of the region. To that end, we've created a development and growth committee of the board to understand Cintrifuge's needs in terms of operating dollars to create new programs and services, and for capital for funds to sustain Union Hall. In the months to come, we will be engaging the community to seek investments of time, expertise, and treasure in Cintrifuse. While we're not asking for big checks and contributions right now, there are important steps you can take to meaningfully contribute to Cintrifuse. Most importantly, please be an ambassador for our entrepreneurial community. Cintrifuse is here to help. Just tell them about Cintrifuse by going to cintrifuse.com/connect. Secondly, if you're looking for the right environment to unlock innovation, Union Hall is open for business. Just reach out to Abby at cintrifuse.com or go to unionhallcincy.com. You can also join the Startup Cincy Startup Network, which is thriving. Go to behardy.com. If you're a corporation looking for innovation and a way to solve problems, contact Alyssa at cintrifuse.com. If you're passionate about sustainability, Pete is launching a Cincinnati Sustainability Consortium. Reach out to Pete at pete@cintrifuse.com. Lastly, please take advantage of the next 4 days of Startup Cincy Week. The agenda is fantastic. There's something for everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'll now hand it back to Pete for his closing comments.
Thank you, David. Again, really appreciate your partnership, and to all the board members out there, we'll look forward to your participation in that endeavor. I wanted to wrap up the meeting by giving the final word to Lieutenant Governor John Husted. He's played a critical role in laying foundation for Ohio and Greater Cincinnati to be a world-class tech economy. Just yesterday, he joined the governor, UC officials, and other community leaders in announcing a new corridor within the Cincinnati Innovation District dedicated to minority startups, like Lightship Capital is an anchor. So let's hear from him. I just thought it'd be a perfect way to end. And to all the stakeholders, local, state, that are helping build our innovation economy, a big thank you.
Hello, I'm John Husted, Ohio's Lieutenant Governor. Welcome to Startup Cincy Week. When the governor entrusted me to lead Innovate Ohio, we established as one of our goals to make Ohio the most innovative, entrepreneurial state in the Midwest. You don't accomplish this goal from the State House, that's for sure. You accomplish it in collaboration with people across Ohio who share your vision. I know many of you serve as key leaders on our mission to make sure that Cincinnati is an innovation and entrepreneurial hub. And this week's event is a great opportunity to celebrate that. I often say there are 3 important elements to developing a vibrant, modern economy: innovation, talent, and investment. Not in isolation, but in collaboration. Cincinnati is a place where these key elements are working together while showcasing what the people of Cincinnati and the Cincinnati region have to offer. There are a lot of great ideas out there, but they must find the way from the lab to the marketplace if they are going to improve the quality of life of the public and create jobs and economic opportunity. In a globally competitive economy, speed to market can make all the difference. And if your innovation, your talent, and your access to capital are not aligned, then you are behind places where they do have access to those things and closely collaborate. Startup Cincy Week is bringing together companies, organizations, and leaders to discuss new ideas, learn about each other's successes, and drive innovation so that Cincinnati and Ohio can continue to be the place to grow and inspire others. Thanks to all the great partners who've made this week's conference possible. I encourage you to keep up the good work and know that Governor DeWine and I continue to work every day to make sure that Ohio is promoting business development and driving entrepreneurship so that we can build a more prosperous economic future for the people of the state of Ohio and all of those families that call Ohio home. Thank you, and keep up the good work.
And I just can't, I can't believe we're gonna end this on time. I'm so excited. I wanted to thank our entire team for making this all possible. Big shout out to Catherine, who's leading the Startup Cincy work and kind of master orchestrator, but also Brooke, Allison, John, Mark, you name it. I also wanted to officially invent the Cintrifuse Ecosystem Leadership Award, and that goes to Maurice Coffey on our team, who not only is playing a big role as an EIR from Proctor on Cintrifuse, but you've heard a lot of buzz about Lightship and Jobs Ohio, and he's kind of in the center of that as well. So big thank you, Maurice. But thanks to everybody. This is all about connecting and catalyze. We are an ecosystem. The potential is massive. Let's be urgent optimists and let's kind of grab the opportunity. Thanks so much. Pay attention to those links because those are all action opportunities. Thanks to everyone. See you soon.